For most of your life, you've been taught a formula that sounds logical, but secretly keeps you trapped. When I achieve more, I'll finally feel happy. When I make more money, when I find the perfect partner, when I get the recognition, when I lose the weight, when I buy the house, then joy will come. But here's the brutal truth. Achievement without alignment does not create lasting fulfillment. It creates temporary spikes of pleasure, followed by emotional crashes. That's why so many people reach their goals and still feel empty. The car gets old, the applause fades, the promotion becomes normal, and suddenly the happiness you thought would last forever dissolves into the background of everyday life. The problem is not that success is bad. The problem is that we've confused achievement with fulfillment. Achievement is external. Fulfillment is internal. Achievement is about getting. Fulfillment is about becoming. Achievement is measurable. Fulfillment is felt. And if you build your life chasing only what can be measured, you will constantly feel something missing, because the human spirit doesn't crave possessions. It craves meaning. Here is the #1 secret to creating joy and fulfillment that actually lasts. Live in alignment with who you truly are and give more than you take. Joy is not created by what you acquire. It is created by who you become and how you contribute. Most people never stop long enough to ask themselves, what do I truly value? What kind of human being do I want to be? What makes me feel alive? Instead, they chase goals handed to them by society, culture, or comparison. And when you chase goals that aren't aligned with your deepest values, you can win the game and still feel like you lost. Pleasure is instant. Fulfillment is earned. Pleasure is a reaction. Fulfillment is a state of being. Pleasure comes from comfort, entertainment, distraction. Fulfillment comes from growth, contribution, and connection. Scrolling social media gives pleasure. Building something meaningful gives fulfillment. Eating junk food gives pleasure. Training your body gives fulfillment. Complaining gives pleasure. Taking responsibility gives fulfillment. The human nervous system adapts quickly to pleasure. This is called hedonic adaptation. What excites you today becomes normal tomorrow. That's why chasing pleasure alone is like drinking salt water. The more you consume, the thirstier you become. But fulfillment works differently. Fulfillment deepens over time because it's tied to meaning. Meaning doesn't fade when the applause stops. Meaning strengthens when challenges appear. Joy that lasts is not loud. It's steady. It's the quiet confidence that your life matters. It's waking up knowing that even if today is difficult, it is purposeful. Alignment is when your actions match your values. Misalignment is when your life looks good from the outside but feels wrong on the inside. You cannot feel sustained joy while living someone else's definition of success. If you value family but sacrifice every evening for work, you will feel conflict. If you value health but ignore your body, you will feel guilt. If you value growth but avoid risk, you will feel frustration. Lasting joy comes from integrity, not moral perfection but internal congruence. When your behavior reflects your deepest beliefs, your nervous system relaxes. There is no internal war. Most burnout is not caused by hard work. It's caused by misaligned work. When your effort serves something meaningful to you, energy increases instead of draining. Ask yourself, what do I stand for? What would make my life meaningful even if nobody applauded? What would I regret not doing if my time were limited? These questions unlock alignment, and alignment unlocks joy. You will never feel fulfilled staying the same. The human spirit craves expansion. When you stop growing, you start shrinking emotionally. Growth doesn't mean constant chaos. It means stretching your comfort zone regularly. Learning something new, becoming stronger, developing patience, building skill. Think about your proudest moments. They likely came after struggle, after doubt, after pushing through resistance. Why? Because growth rewires identity. It proves to you that you are more capable than you thought. And nothing creates lasting joy faster than realizing you are evolving. Comfort feels safe, but growth feels alive. If alignment is the foundation and growth is the fuel, then contribution is the multiplier. You can achieve everything for yourself and still feel empty. But when your actions positively impact others, joy expands exponentially. Why? Because the human brain is wired for connection. When you help someone, your nervous system releases oxytocin and serotonin, chemicals linked to trust and well-being. But beyond biology, Contribution answers the deepest human question. Do I matter? You matter most when you make others feel like they matter. Contribution doesn't require millions of dollars. It requires intention, listening deeply, teaching what you've learned, encouraging someone, creating something useful, being present. The paradox is powerful. The more you focus on giving, the less you obsess over your own dissatisfaction. And in that shift, joy quietly grows. Goals don't create lasting change. Identity does. If you say, I want to be happy, that's a wish. But if you say, I am someone who grows, gives, and lives in alignment, that's identity. Every action either reinforces or weakens identity. When you act courageously, you become courageous. When you act generously, you become generous. Repetition creates belief. Belief creates state. State creates life experience. Lasting joy is not a mood. It's a byproduct of identity consistency. Life will always include pain, but suffering is often optional. Joy that lasts requires emotional responsibility. You cannot control every circumstance, but you can control interpretation. Two people can experience the same setback. One sees failure, the other sees feedback. The difference is meaning. Your brain constantly asks, what does this mean? If you assign empowering meaning, you feel empowered. If you assign disempowering meaning, you feel defeated. Joyful people are not lucky. They are intentional interpreters of reality. Gratitude shifts focus from scarcity to sufficiency. Presence anchors you in now. Most anxiety lives in the future. Most regret lives in the past. Joy lives in the present. When you train your mind to notice what is working, your breath, your relationships, your opportunities, your nervous system relaxes. Fulfillment expands when appreciation deepens. Gratitude is not denial of problems. It is recognition of blessings alongside them. Joy that lasts is built through daily rituals, not occasional breakthroughs. Morning intention, movement, reflection, contribution, learning, connection. Small, consistent actions compound emotionally, just like money compounds financially. A fulfilled life is not created in one dramatic moment. It is built in quiet, disciplined days. The number one secret to creating joy and fulfillment that actually lasts is this. Live in alignment with your deepest values, commit to continuous growth, and dedicate your life to contribution beyond yourself. When you become someone who grows and gives consistently, joy stops being something you chase. It becomes something you generate. And when joy is generated from within, no external condition can permanently take it away. The most dangerous sentence in the human language is this. I'll be happy when I get married. I'll be happy when I earn more. I'll be happy when people finally recognize me. This mindset quietly postpones joy indefinitely. It conditions your nervous system to link happiness to future events, rather than present identity. And when the future becomes the present, the mind simply moves the goalpost again. This is why so many high achievers feel chronically unsatisfied. Not because they lack success, but because they trained their brain to delay fulfillment. Lasting joy begins when you flip the formula. Instead of saying, I'll be happy when I achieve, you say, I will achieve because I choose to live joyfully now. Joy becomes the fuel, not the reward. When you operate from wholeness instead of lack, your ambition becomes cleaner. You stop chasing validation and start expressing purpose. And ironically, success flows more naturally when it's no longer tied to your emotional survival. Many people don't lack opportunity. They lack internal peace. There's a silent war happening inside them. One part wants growth. Another part fears failure. One part wants connection. Another part fears rejection. And when these internal voices conflict, energy drains. Lasting fulfillment requires integration. You must acknowledge your fears without letting them run your life. You must listen to your doubts without obeying them. Emotional maturity is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to move forward despite it. When you suppress emotions, they control you from the shadows. When you face them with awareness, they lose their grip. Joy grows in emotional honesty. It grows when you stop pretending to be strong and start becoming strong. True strength is vulnerability aligned with courage. When your inner world becomes unified, when your values, actions, and intentions align, peace replaces tension, and peace is the soil where lasting joy grows. It's about who you are being in every interaction. Every room you enter, you bring energy. That energy either uplifts, drains, inspires, or repels. Most people underestimate this truth. Your emotional state influences not just your life, but the lives of everyone around you. When you are aligned, growing and contributing, your presence becomes powerful. You don't need to dominate conversations. You don't need to prove yourself. There is a calm certainty about you, and that certainty becomes contagious. Think about the people who leave you feeling stronger after a conversation. They may not have given you money or opportunities, but they gave you belief. That is contribution at the highest level. Joy multiplies when you realize you are not just building a life. You are shaping environments. And when you consciously decide to be a source of strength rather than stress, your daily interactions become meaningful. Fulfillment stops being an abstract concept and becomes a lived experience in real time. Many people believe discipline restricts freedom. In truth, discipline creates it. Without discipline, you become a slave to moods, impulses, and distractions. With discipline, you gain control over direction. Lasting joy is not built on motivation. Motivation fluctuates, discipline anchors. The discipline to wake up with intention. The discipline to move your body even when you don't feel like it. The discipline to choose growth over comfort. At first, discipline feels uncomfortable. But over time, it creates self-respect. And self-respect is a powerful foundation for fulfillment. When you trust yourself to follow through, confidence expands naturally. Freedom is not doing whatever you feel in the moment. Freedom is having the strength to choose what aligns with your long-term values instead of short-term emotions. When you live that way consistently, joy stops being fragile. It becomes stable. If you want joy that lasts, ask yourself one powerful question. When my life is over, what will have mattered most? Not how many likes you received, not how many arguments you won, not even how much money you made. What will matter is who you became and how you made others feel. Legacy is not about fame. It's about impact. The way your children remember you, the way your friends felt supported, the way your work improved someone's life, the courage you modeled, the love you expressed. When you live with legacy in mind, small frustrations lose their power. Petty conflicts fade, ego softens, purpose sharpens. And here is the truth that ties everything together. Joy that lasts is born from living a life you would be proud to remember. When you align with your values, commit to growth, contribute beyond yourself, master your emotions, practice discipline, and live with legacy in mind, fulfillment stops being a mystery. It becomes the natural byproduct of who you are. No one creates lasting joy alone. You can isolate. You can achieve independently. You can accumulate success quietly. But fulfillment expands through connection. Relationships are the mirror that reveals who you truly are. If you want to measure the quality of your inner life, look at the quality of your closest relationships. Are they built on authenticity or performance? On growth or dependency? On appreciation or criticism? Lasting joy requires depth, not just proximity. Many people are surrounded by others yet feel emotionally unseen. Why? Because they fear vulnerability. They protect themselves instead of expressing themselves. True connection demands courage. The courage to say what you feel. The courage to listen without defensiveness. The courage to admit when you're wrong. When relationships become spaces of growth instead of ego battles, fulfillment multiplies. And here's the deeper truth. The way you treat others is often a reflection of how you treat yourself. When you cultivate compassion internally, it radiates externally. When you respect yourself, you stop tolerating relationships that drain your spirit. Joy expands when your relationships align with your values. Joy that lasts does not mean a life without pain. It means a life where pain has purpose. Every human being will experience loss, rejection, disappointment, and uncertainty. The difference between those who collapse and those who rise is resilience. Resilience is not toughness. It's flexibility. It's the ability to bend without breaking, to feel fully without being destroyed, to experience hardship without losing identity. When challenges arise, most people ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Fulfilled people ask, "What is this teaching me?" That shift in question changes everything. Pain becomes preparation. Obstacles become refinement. Your greatest strength often emerges from your deepest wounds. If you choose to grow through them, resilience builds unshakable confidence. Because once you survive difficulty, fear loses its grip. Lasting joy is powerful precisely because it has been tested. It is not naive optimism. It is earned perspective. There comes a point in growth where achievement and relationships still feel incomplete. That is when the deeper question arises: what is all of this for? Spiritual alignment is not necessarily about religion. It is about connection to something greater than your ego. It is the recognition that your life is part of a larger design. Whether you define that as God, the universe, purpose, or service. When you live only for yourself, fulfillment has limits. When you see your life as a channel for something greater, your meaning expands infinitely. Moments of silence, reflection, prayer, meditation, gratitude, these practices anchor you beyond chaos. They remind you that your worth is not measured by productivity, but by presence. Lasting joy often feels peaceful rather than intense. It feels grounded rather than dramatic. Spiritual alignment brings that grounding. It creates stability when the external world feels unstable. Knowledge does not create change. Implementation does. If you want joy that lasts, it must become practical. It must live in your schedule, not just your thoughts. Start with simple rituals. Each morning ask yourself, who do I want to be today? What value will guide me today? Who can I serve today? Each evening reflect, did I act in alignment? Did I grow? Did I contribute? Move your body daily. Feed your mind intentionally. Limit what drains your energy. Surround yourself with people who challenge and support you. Consistency creates identity. Identity creates state. State creates life experience. Small actions repeated daily will transform your emotional baseline. Over time, joy becomes familiar instead of rare. After all the strategies, principles, and insights, everything comes down to one realization. You are the source of your joy, not circumstances, not approval, not possessions, not perfection. When you understand that fulfillment is generated from alignment, growth, contribution, resilience, connection, and spiritual grounding, you stop chasing and start creating. Life will still fluctuate. There will still be challenges. But your center remains steady because it is built internally. And here is the ultimate truth. Joy that lasts is not something you find. It is something you build. It is something you practice. It is something you become when you live in alignment with your deepest values. Commit to continuous growth. Serve something greater than yourself. Nurture meaningful relationships. And take daily disciplined action. Fulfillment stops being temporary. It becomes your way of being.